Hello, and welcome to Intelligent Pod. I'm your host, Sophie Lane, and I'm so glad you're joining me today. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. And if you're new here, hello. You found the podcast where we break down fascinating topics, dig into the research, and explore how big ideas shape our everyday lives. Today, we're diving into a topic that's all around us, even if we don't always realize it. It's called the gamification of everything. And in this episode, we'll explore the pros and cons of gamification for society. So, whether you've just checked off a daily step goal on your fitness tracker, earned points for your morning coffee, or played a language app that rewards you with streaks and badges, you've already experienced gamification firsthand. But is all this game thinking making us better, more motivated people? Or is there a hidden downside to turning everyday life into a series of points, rewards, and leaderboards? Let's find out. To get us started, let's define what we mean by gamification. Simply put, gamification is the application of game design elements, like points, badges, levels, and challenges, to non-game contexts. The goal is to encourage engagement, motivate behavior, and make tasks more enjoyable. Think about how many apps, services, and even workplaces use gamified elements. Your fitness tracker nudges you to close your rings for the day. Your credit card offers you status levels and perks. Even your favorite coffee shop might tempt you with a point system that unlocks free drinks. According to a recent report by Markets and Markets, the global gamification market is expected to reach over $30 billion by 2025. That's a lot of badges. But it's not just about consumer apps. Gamification has made its way into education, healthcare, corporate training, and even government initiatives. For example, Duolingo, the popular language learning app, uses streaks, leaderboards, and rewards to keep people coming back for daily practice. In classrooms, teachers use apps or techniques that turn learning into a competition or reward system. And companies are using gamification to boost employee engagement, hoping to make mundane tasks more fun and productive. On the surface, gamifying everyday life sounds brilliant. Who wouldn't want to feel a little more motivated to go for a walk, learn something new, or even do their taxes? But as with most things, there's more to the story. Let's break down the pros and cons of gamification from different perspectives so we can understand its real impact on society. First, let's look at the psychological angle. One of the big draws of gamification is its ability to tap into our basic human psychology. We're wired to respond to rewards, challenges, and a sense of progress. When you see that little green checkmark for a completed task, your brain releases a small dose of dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. It's the same kind of reward system that makes games so addictive. An academic study from the University of Pennsylvania found that people using gamified apps for fitness were 30% more likely to stick with their exercise routines than those who didn't use gamified features. That's a big deal, especially when you consider how hard it can be to make healthy habits stick. But here's the catch. Sometimes, external rewards can actually undermine our internal motivation. Psychologists call this the over-justification effect. In other words, if you come to rely on points or badges to motivate you, you might lose your intrinsic motivation to do the activity for its own sake. Once the rewards disappear, so does your motivation. That's why some people find themselves suddenly uninterested in running once their fitness app stops sending notifications, or when they lose their streak. Now, let's shift to the scientific side. Gamification can be a powerful tool for learning. Studies in educational psychology show that students are often more engaged and retain more information when learning is interactive and playful. In fact, a study published in the journal Computers and Education found that gamified learning environments improved student performance by over 20% compared to traditional settings. The elements of feedback, progress tracking, and friendly competition can make learning more dynamic and less intimidating. But there are pitfalls. Not everyone responds the same way to competition or rewards. For some people, especially those who struggle or fall behind, gamification can actually be demotivating. Imagine being at the bottom of a leaderboard day after day. Instead of feeling encouraged, you might feel frustrated or left out. And sometimes, the focus shifts from learning or self-improvement to simply winning the game, which can undermine deeper understanding. Culturally, gamification is changing how we interact with the world. In many ways, it can make everyday life more fun and social. Apps like Habitica turn your to-do list into a role-playing game where you and your friends battle monsters by completing daily tasks. City governments are experimenting with gamified recycling programs, offering points and prizes for eco-friendly behavior. In the workplace, some companies use gamified dashboards to encourage teamwork and friendly rivalry. But there's another side to this coin. Critics argue that gamification can feel manipulative. When companies use game mechanics to drive sales or boost engagement, it's worth asking, are we genuinely benefiting, or are we just being nudged to spend more time and money? There's also a risk of pointification, where everything in life is reduced to scores, badges, and rankings, making us more focused on extrinsic rewards than on the value of the activity itself. Let me share a real-life story that illustrates both the power and the peril of gamification. A few years ago, a friend of mine, let's call her Emily, started using a popular habit tracking app. The app awarded her points for each completed habit, and she loved seeing her progress add up. It started small, drinking more water, going for walks, reading before bed. Over time, she built an impressive streak, and the app sent her virtual trophies and badges. It was motivating at first. But then, on a busy weekend, Emily missed a day. The app reset her streak to 0. She was so frustrated that she stopped using the app altogether. The very thing that once inspired her, those streaks and rewards, became the reason she gave up. It's a reminder that gamification is a double-edged sword. It can inspire us, but it can also set us up for disappointment if the mechanics aren't designed with care. So what does this mean for us, as individuals and as a society? How can we make the most of gamification without falling into its traps? Here are a few actionable ideas you can try in your own life. First, pay attention to your own motivation. Ask yourself, am I doing this activity because I genuinely enjoy it or find it valuable? Or am I just chasing points and badges? If you find your motivation slipping when the rewards disappear, try to reconnect with the intrinsic value of the activity. For example, instead of focusing on your step count, notice how walking makes you feel more energized, relaxed, or connected to your surroundings. Second, if you're designing or choosing gamified systems, whether you're a teacher, manager, or just setting up your own goals, think about how to make the experience inclusive and meaningful. Not everyone thrives on competition. Some people prefer collaboration, storytelling, or personal progress. Look for apps and systems that offer different paths to success, so everyone can find something that works for them. Third, set realistic expectations for yourself. It's okay to miss a day, break a streak, or fall off the leaderboard. Life is more than just points and badges. Celebrate your progress, but don't let the game mechanics define your self-worth. And finally, be mindful of when gamification might be used to manipulate your behavior. If an app or service seems more interested in keeping you hooked than in helping you grow, take a step back. Ask yourself if the rewards are aligned with your own goals and values. Let's recap what we've covered today. Gamification, the use of game elements in non-game contexts, can be a powerful force for motivation, learning, and positive change. It taps into our psychology and makes everyday tasks more engaging, but it also has its downsides. It can undermine intrinsic motivation, exclude those who don't respond to competition, and sometimes feel manipulative. The key is to use gamification thoughtfully and intentionally. When done well, it can help us build better habits, learn new skills, and connect with others. But we need to stay mindful of our own motivations and remember that life isn't just a game. It's about growth, connection, and meaning. Thank you so much for listening to Intelligent Pod today. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps more listeners find the show. For show notes, links to the studies I mentioned, and more resources, visit intelligentpod.com. And if you have thoughts, questions, or ideas for future episodes, I'd love to hear from you. You can email me directly at sophie@intelligentpod.com. Until next time, I'm Sophie Lane, reminding you to play smart, stay curious, and find joy in the journey, badges or no badges. Thanks for tuning in.